That was subversion. Well, that's never going to do. The city council is just simply not going to allow that kind of crap to be spread around, you see. That's why they hated the prophets. So the government was after them. Torkzinner, who edited these Lachish Letters, and I have a photocopy of Torkzinner's edition of the Lachish Letters, and I've read it a few times. Oh, it's beautiful. It's sumptuous. There has been a new study come out since Torkzinner. His was back, I believe, in 1938, where he analyzed the Hebrew, and it was delicious. It was absolutely fabulous, sumptuous. That's one of the reasons I wanted to study Hebrew, so I could read that stuff. But there's a new study that's come out now that's kind of updated what Torkzinner had written. And he says it must, here's what Torkzinner said, it must certainly be admitted that there were more than one prophet at this time. Well, that's Book of Mormon theme right there. The archaeology proves the Book of Mormon's accurate. There was more than one prophet at one time. If you want archaeological proof for the Book of Mormon, there it is, the Lachish Letters. It claims there was more than one prophet, and there was. According to the Lachish Letters. Well, that's archaeological proof, isn't it? Archaeologically discovered documents and translated by the biblical scholars and presented to the world, dating back to Jerusalem, 600 BC, right where Lehi was. Okay, there you have it. And there were the prophets circulating around. There were other prophets circulating around. Israel usually has a chief prophet at a particular time, he says, like Isaiah or Jeremiah. But Jeremiah was not the chief prophet at this time. Uriah was an important man. He had been preaching perhaps longer than Jeremiah had. As I said, the prophetess was Huldah. She was the center of attention if they wanted the big stuff. And here's what Torkzinner says. The central figure, of course, was Jeremiah, but it's only by chance that we know about him. He is not even mentioned in the Book of Kings. That's the prophetess Huldah, an otherwise quite unknown figure whom Josiah himself consulted. Well, that was back in Josiah's day, but now we're down to the time of Zedekiah, with Jeremiah and Lehi, of course. Well, we're told that Uriah's religious influence, now this is interesting, the prophet in the Lachish Letters, his religious influence had been great. Uriah prophesied according to all the words of Jeremiah, so he was spreading Jeremiah's message. Lehi did the same thing, so this was the Jeremiah party, you might say. And they were not popular, remember. Nobody wanted them with all this gloom and doom. They were running from the police everywhere. So you tell us that Jeremiah was a little-known prophet, and that this prophetess Huldah was well-known. When you say the word prophet to me, I think of the hierarchy in the church as we have today. Was that what it was like back then? The answer is no. That has nothing to do with it. As Brigham Young said, prophecy is not an office, it's a gift. Some people have it, some people don't. We're told that anyone who has a testimony of Jesus Christ has the gift of prophecy. That's in the book of Revelation. But you have no right prophesying for the church. There are various people who have the gift very strongly. No president of the church ever had it more strongly than Eliza R. Snow. And beautifully enough, she's the one that wrote, "Oh My Father," about the Heavenly Mother in the hymns that we have. So that's kind of a nice touch there, I think. Well, she made some marvelous prophecies, but she didn't speak to the world and to the church. This is a special gift like healing and so on and so forth. There's some interesting stories on that. Well, Uriah was a prophet, and he had this particular gift. He went around, and Jeremiah was authorizing. You notice how Lehi took up the activity later on. Lachish letter number 6 tells us, "The words of the prophets are dangerously undermining morale of both the military and the people. Behold, their words are not good. Their words are not good. Both weaken the hands of the country and the city everywhere." Jeremiah 38 says the very same thing. Jeremiah 38:4 says, "For thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war," the soldiers, the Yadai Anashai Hamilkama, the soldiers of war, "that remain in this city in the hands of all the people." And they mean all the people, the Kol Ha'am. Kol is whole, complete, total, and Ha'am, of course, is the people. Is people. Well, this is what we're told in the Book of Mormon, that many prophets came prophesying doom. The people must repent. Nephi said that there were many prophets. Lehi went forth praying unto the Lord, and he on behalf of all his people, and he was praying with all of his heart. It's 1 Nephi 1:5. In the 5th verse already, things move fast in the 1st chapter. In reply to his prayer, of course, he receives a vision that sent him to join the prophets. Nephi said, "My father went forth among the people and began to prophesy." That's verse 18. Well, this is the result of the vision. What happened? He wasn't a prophet before, but then he joined the prophets. He went forth among the people, and he began to prophesy. And it was discouraging to the people. And it was discouraging to Lehi also. See, this isn't happy news. This isn't happy, joy time. This isn't spiritually uplifting and, oh my, we feel good, let's go sing with the choirs of heaven stuff. No, this is a dire situation. It made them look bad. They began to prophesy, declaring the things that they had both seen and heard in their visions. And he got into trouble. They rejected the prophets. Nephi says later on they threw Jeremiah in the prison. And they sought to take away the life of my father. They drove him out. So there you have it. That's the situation in the Book of Mormon. Well, we find out from these Lachish letters, following Torkzinner's lead, that Uriah and others have hidden in the hills of western Judah for a long time. Now see, this is reminiscent of Nephi and his brothers hiding out in the caves after they ditched out from running out of Laban's house. Well, Uriah also hid out in the hills like this, so he was considered a bandit. We find later on the Dead Sea Scrolls Qumran community do exactly the same thing. The righteous people of God are always separated from the wicked. They go out from the wicked city. That's why Qumran was out in the desert, and they wrote their Dead Sea Scrolls. We find Uriah in the Lachish letters, we find Lehi in the Book of Mormon, and we find Jeremiah in the Bible. It is the same principal theme. The Book of Mormon is right on the button here. That's fascinating, isn't it? Perfect history. So this is a national calamity that we're dealing with here. And the background is with darkening skies, etc. But the Lachish letters are concerned with a relatively narrow circle of friends and influences. This is according to Torkzinner's analysis of the Lachish letters. You see groups working together, little circles. We read about clandestine flights from the city in both the Book of Mormon and in the Lachish letters. Uriah and his small group get him out of town and hide down into Egypt if he can get away with it, you see. They're running back and forth. They involve friends and family going back to talk to Laban, etc., as family group, and so on and so forth. Nephi and his brethren go back to town to persuade Ishmael, who is also a friend of the family, you see, and they had family of daughters, and they to come and go and join them. Nephi gets Zoram to join them. So see, you have a relatively small influence of circles here. And they go and strike a deal with Laban, who knew them. He knew the boys when they came up, and he knew that they had great wealth. When they brought it and showed it to him, he stole it from them. And then he threatened to kill them, you see. Oh, that's not nice. That's not the way to do it, see. So there's this sort of an aristocracy in town, is what he's saying. And this is where the trouble is. This is clearer in the book of Jeremiah than anywhere else. It was long believed that it was only a few of the chief families who were taken away from Babylon the first time. We know today that it was very different. They took everybody except that relatively small group of poor people. Nephi and his brethren went back, and they began to split up right off. When they went to their first mission to get the brass plates, they split up. Then later they took sides in the family. Laman and Lemuel and the daughters of Ishmael wanted to go back to Jerusalem, you remember. And they said, we're fools to leave Jerusalem. The people of Jerusalem, they felt, were a righteous people, and they were mad because they could have been enjoying their possessions. That's what Laman and Lemuel, they had their hearts set upon the things of the world. See, that was the problem. Well, the people of Jerusalem, if they had kept the statutes and judgments, commandments of the Lord, they would have been a righteous people. Laman and Lemuel felt they had, and they said, see, Lehi, our father, he has judged them, but he's judged them wrong. And they were especially disgruntled at having to defer to their prophet a very interesting quality. Now this is interesting. I looked this up in Torkzinner, and his analysis of this is really interesting. This is another thing that's mentioned in the Lachish letters, a pakia. A pikeia. A pikeia is a person who sees things that other people don't see. He's a visionary man. And that is precisely what Laman and Lemuel accused Lehi of being, was a ha pikeia, a visionary man. He's foolish. He sees visions. He has dreams, and so on and so forth. This is the Lachish Letters concept of someone who sees something that others don't see. It's a prophetic man, is what it is. A dreamer, a visionary. He's called the Pikaia in the Lachish Letters. That's a beautiful connection there, man.